Alright, so this is a translation and a discussion of Pliny's letter 10.6 that is following up the letter of 10.5 that was the request concerning a doctor that he had and a couple of other liberties that he is seeking citizenship for them all. So, we continue on. Gaius Plinius, in the nominative, we understand the S, salutum dicit, says greetings to the Emperor Trajan, and once more, we have in the vocative case, Dominus, Master, I drive thanks for you, or I give you thanks, because here we have, obviously, the verb indulisti. You have approved, you have indulged it, both the right of the Quirites, and remember the Quirites are the people of Quirinus, and remember that Quirinus is the form of Romulus, or the name of Romulus. Once he has become deified, he has undergone an apotheosis, and so therefore, nevertheless, the free people, the liberties, and so they are the dative receiving this right. So I give you thanks, Master, because you have granted, you have approved, you have indulged the right of the Quirites, Roman citizenship, to the liberties of a woman, most necessary, most close, most well-known, a good buddy, a good friend to me. And you have granted, you have approved Roman citizenship to Arpokratos. And that would be then here in the appositive, telling you who this person is, my doctor. And you have done it, O Domine, you have done it, O Trajan, sine mora, without delay. Remember that mora comes from the deponent verb, moror, morari, morata sum, but here what we have obviously is the noun, which is a delay itself. Mora, morai. Nevertheless said, but cum. Here this cum is going to be when, since, or although. There is no tamen, so again, as is the convention, start out with saying when, go back and translate it with being since, and see which one makes better, pun intended, sense to you. And so, but when I ederim. Ederim here is going to essentially mean to give forth. It's just the exact same as dodare, as it were. And so, but when I gave his years, i.e. how old he was, and kainsum. Kainsum eventually, or originally, comes from the verb that means to be counted, as in a census, as it were. But here, it's going to more so have the sense of not censeo censere, as in to enroll or register, like in the census, but it's essentially going to be the kind of noun, census, which is the wealth. If you remember that a Roman is registered within the population in the census by how much money they have. And so therefore, it is going to be that the kainsum, as understood as a substantized noun, is going to mean his value and or his wealth, how much money he has. And so, but when I gave his age, his years, and his wealth, sicut praecaperas, just like you had demanded, just like you had asked, admonitus sum, from monia monere, I was advised, I have been advised by paritioribus, by those more experienced. And so therefore, if you would put an X on the front of this, is where we get the word expert. And here we have IOR, meaning those that are more experienced, those that are more knowledgeable. And so therefore, I was advised by those more experienced that, here we have the accusative subject, that I, and since we are starting off in the past with admonitus sum, that is right here, and we have a perfect infinitive. Remember that perfect infinitive in indirect statement, which is what we have here with an accusative subject and an infinitive finite verb, which is oxymoronic, I understand, that we need to make the action of debuisse occur before. Perfect infinitive does not mean in the past, it means before. And so therefore, we need to obviously express it in English with the word had. So I was advised that I had ought that I had owed, because that is what obviously this verb means, that I had ought to request impetrare, to obtain for him before, i.e. before Roman citizenship, that I had ought to have obtained, or to request obtain Alexandrian citizenship. And so therefore there are these various different levels, particularly in Egypt, and those levels are as follows. At the lowest level is going to be merely that you are Egyptian. Then at the second level is that you have the status of being Alexandrian, which gives you certain benefits, which give you certain advantages. And then the third level, which is the ultimate level, is to have that of the status of Roman citizenship. So you have Egyptian citizenship, then you have Alexandrian citizenship, which is within Egypt, obviously, and then you have Roman citizenship, which is the ultimate. And so what Pliny is implying is that he should have gone for the second level first, but he instead had jumped all the way to the third level. And so therefore, it continue on, Dende, then Roman. So he should have gone for Alexandrian citizenship first, but he had gone apparently for the Roman, and so he did not go in the order that one expects. Since, indeed, S just an imperfect subjunctive, an Egyptian. And so he is an Egyptian, check mark, but he should have gone to number 2 before he had obviously made the leap to number 3. Ago autem. However, since, quia, which is obviously what that means, since I was believing, credebam, from credo credere, that there was nothing in between, i.e. that there was no difference. That is literally, indeed, and figuratively what this phrase implies. Since I was believing that nothing was in between, that there was no difference between Egyptians, or I should say, and other non-Roman citizens, other foreigners. He just didn't realize that there was these different levels, these different layers. He just thought that Peregrinus meant Peregrinus. He didn't realize that you could be Peregrinus plus, i.e. Alexandrian. He indeed had been content to write to you this only, this alone. He had merely made the request, let him be a Roman citizenship, because he didn't realize that there were these different layers, that you could be a step above Peregrinus in the fact that you could be Alexandrian. Nevertheless, we continue on. Excuse me. Nevertheless, and I had been content that he was or has been manumitted from a Peregrinus, from a foreigner, and that his patrona, which is the woman who had previously been his mistress, his master when he was a slave, but now obviously as a freedman, has previously deceased, had previously gone away, had previously died. We continue on. De qua ignoratia mea, concerning which my ignorance, or concerning this ignorance of mine, I do not complain. Queror is from the verb, obviously. Queror, queri, and then questus sum. It means to complain or to moan about. And so therefore, concerning which ignorance of mine, concerning this, my ignorance, I do not complain. Per qua stetit. It has stood through which, in other words, it is what it is, and so it has stood through which that I am obligated, I am obliged, I am owing to you concerning or on behalf of this same person more often, i.e. I am even more in debt to you. I didn't realize that I had to obviously go through these various different layers and steps of status in request. I went right to the top of Roman citizenship, and so he says, I'm not complaining the fact that I didn't know any better, but through which it has stood. In other words, it currently is of a status that I am obliged, I am even more owing to you on behalf of the same person, more so, more often. And so therefore, because obviously it is implied that Trajan has granted his request, he's all like, I am so thankful that you obviously allowed me to skip these steps and didn't obviously make me go back and request each level, as it were. Therefore, itaque, I ask that I be able to enjoy. This verb, which is deponent, fruor, frui, is going to require an ablative object. Hence why we have beneficio tuo. That I am able to enjoy your beneficence, your goodwill, your graciousness legally, legitimately. Tribuos. Therefore, I ask that I am able to enjoy, and I ask that you, tribuos, that you assign to him. In other words, it's implying that he has done it, he has granted it, that you, tribuos, that you attribute to him both Alexandrian citizenship and Roman. And so now in this letter what he is doing is he is amending his request and saying that I had asked for Roman citizenship previously, but now I'm going back, I'm going to be asking for both the Alexandrian citizenship, which remember is at level 2, and then obviously Roman as well. And so therefore I ask that I am able to enjoy your beneficence legitimately, legally. I'm going through the proper steps now, that you attribute, that you grant to him both Alexandrian citizenship and Roman. Even though Trajan is the Roman emperor, he still has to follow the legal conventions. And so therefore Trajan is going to be requested by Pliny. Pliny saying, I had made a mistake. I had skipped that second level of Alexandrian citizenship. So now I'm asking you to give it both. We continue on. I have sent both his years, i.e. how old he is, and his wealth, consum. I have done this, a negative purpose clause, lest, and of course, si, nisi, numen ne, all the alis fall away. And so therefore this is really an aliquid, lest anything, again, delay, moror, morari, an imperfect subjunctive, morare, which is a present active looking infinitive, plus the ending making an imperfect subjunctive, your indulgence, your approval. And so he's wanting to put it on the fast track is what he is saying. So I have sent his age and his wealth to you, implied, lest anything delay again your approval. And I have sent this stuff to your freedmen. These are going to be probably the freedmen of the Emperor Trajan in Egypt, whereas the original spot to where obviously this doctor has been from, and these are going to be like different sorts of bureaucratic administrators. And quibus, which of course is taking as its antecedent the liberties, to whom you had ordered. And so essentially what he is implying is Pliny is that Trajan has said, okay, give the information to my administrators, the freedmen of me that I have in Egypt, and they will take care of the paperwork, as it were. And so he's trying to obviously put him on the fast track. Previous letter, give him Roman citizenship. This letter, he's like, I know that I was supposed to ask for Alexandrian citizenship first, and so therefore what I'd like now is to request both Alexandrian citizenship and Roman citizenship, and if you put it on the fast track, that'd be great, and I'm sending the information to your freedmen, to your administrators, which presumably are in Egypt now. And so therefore again, lastly it says, I have sent his years and his wealth to those freedmen, to your freedmen, your administrators, to whom you had ordered, lest anything should, would, could, might, may, can delay your approval again. And so keep studying, hopefully you understand what's going on and the